Mr. Finchley Goes to Paris, adapted for radio by Andy and Eric Merriman from the book of the same name by Victor Canning. Episode 4, in which Mr. Finchley doesn't make the headlines, Robert is abandoned, and both are all at sea.
I demand an explanation.
You will just have to wait and see.
That's just the trouble. We can't see.
Jacques, you can remove the blindfolds now.
Where are we?
It doesn't matter. Somewhere near Versailles is all you need to know.
Perhaps we can visit the palace later.
No, Robert, I don't think this is a sightseeing trip.
Monsieur is right. You will not be going anywhere. As I said before, I will not hesitate to shoot you. And since we are miles from anywhere, no one will know what has happened.
I think we might have a pretty good idea.
Jacques, takes the boy to his room, give him something to eat.
Look here, you can't just
Don't be alarmed. The boy will be quite safe, I assure you.
Come with me, boy.
Monsieur Finchley, what shall I do?
Do as he says. Don't worry, Robert. It'll be fine. This is obviously all a big mistake.
Let's go. Quickly.
How much longer is this farce going on?
This is not a farce. Now you can have your explanation. I wish to talk with you because later on you may tell other people what I have said. In this house, there once lived a very happy family. A father, a mother, and 6 children, all boys, who was the pride of their parents. The Great War came, monsieur, and the boys went as soldiers. All of them were killed. And at their death, the father became a soldier, and he too was killed. The mother died of grief at home.
Well, this is all very sad, but
After the war, the house was sold to a young man who soon realized that the family's sacrifice had been in vain. They had died for nothing. You see, monsieur, wars are made because of the stupidity of politicians and the greed of the men who supply the weapons.
But there will always be wars. Men will always find a reason to fight.
No, it does not have to be so. We should not stand by and let it happen again and again. This young man's conscience would not allow him to rest. He was determined to do something about it. He decided to fight evil with evil and bring good from it. Now you understand why you are here, do you not?
No, not at all.
My name is Jérôme Giraud. I am that disillusioned young man, and this is a house.
Yes, I thought as much, but I still don't see what I or the boy have to do with all this, and I demand that you release us immediately.
You are in no position to demand anything. Although I must say you show much courage and loyalty for a tutor and valet.
Tutor and valet? I am a solicitor's clerk, here on business for Messrs. Sprake and Bardwell.
A likely story. I've never heard anything so preposterous. Tell the truth. You are the tutor and valet for Randolph Brewster III.
What are you talking about? Randolph Brewster III? But he's the American child millionaire.
Yes, and whose father is a notorious arms manufacturer. I have planned to kidnap him for a long time.
Monsieur Giraud, while I can very largely sympathize with your motives in this matter, I must inform you that you've made a very grievous mistake. Never in my life have I met Randolph Brewster III, never mind the first or the second. And the boy who was with me is a friend I've made while staying in Paris.
I do not believe you. Besides, the deed is done and the ransom has already been demanded. Letters have been sent to the Paris newspapers to inform them that unless certain sums, very large sums, are paid into named charities by Brewster's family within 4 days, he will never be seen again. Neither will the tutor.
That's me.
Ah! You finally admit it.
No, I don't. I promise you I'm telling the truth.
I will be proved right. For in tomorrow's papers, you will see the headlines that Brewster has been kidnapped.
So, if there's nothing in the newspapers, you must accept that the boy is safe at the Marivaux and that you've made a mistake. Will you then promise to let Robert and I return safely to Paris?
Oh, monsieur, what an actor you are.
Well, really.
You almost convinced me that I am mistaken. Well, of course, if I am, you shall be returned to Paris unarmed, and I shall never be able to make my apologies to you for such unjust treatment.
I should think not.
In the meantime, however, I will try to make your stay here as pleasant as possible. You each have your own comfortable bedroom, and there is a games room where you can occupy yourselves.
The following morning, at Madame Mignard's boarding house, two of Mr. Finchley's fellow lodgers, Murray Peters and Lawrence Hume, sat down to breakfast.
Seen anything of Finchley this morning?
Of course not. He went back to London yesterday, didn't he?
Well, that's what I thought. But his luggage is still here, and he hasn't slept in his room. I've checked.
In that case, he's been out all night. You wouldn't have thought it of him, would you?
Wouldn't have thought what of him?
Oh, don't be so naive. Perhaps he's met somebody. A woman.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. No, Finchley just isn't that sort of chap.
Oh, don't you believe it. Every man is capable of being that sort of chap. Who knows what hidden passion lurks beneath that pinstriped exterior? What sensuous desires are straining to be unleashed?
Finchley?
Perhaps you're right.
No, I'm sure there's a perfectly simple explanation. Probably something to do with his work.
Where are you off to today?
I'm at the museum all day. There's a lecture entitled Earwigs, Past, Present and Future.
Fascinating. Mind you, I'd rather be doing that than looking after that child.
What are you doing later? How about a drink before dinner?
Better still, how about dinner after a drink?
Oh, yes. That would be very nice.
Mademoiselle Peters,
Yes, Monsieur Mignard?
my wife wishes to see you in the drawing room now.
Oh, dear. This sounds ominous.
What have you done wrong?
Nothing. But then you can never tell with Madame Mignard. I'd better go.
Well, good luck. See you later.
Ah, mademoiselle, shut the door behind you.
What is it, Madame?
Mademoiselle Peters, it is true, is it not, that I engaged you as a governess for my daughter's child?
Yes, that's right.
And you have told me that you were for many years a governess, and have furnished me with the most excellent references.
Yes, Madame.
And among those references, there was one from Madame Chanteau of the Rue de la Paix, whose service you left last July.
That is so, Madame.
Do you find it as extraordinary as I do that she was able to write such beautiful things about you when she does not, in fact, exist?
Oh.
And then there was the most glowing tribute from Madame Christelle de Beauvoir. Presumably, while you were with her, you did nothing else but act as governess to her little girl?
Yes.
Then would you kindly look at this photograph, Miss Peters? Was this the uniform that you used to wear?
Oh, dear. No.
I should think not. It is the costume of a showgirl, and even then it is hardly a costume at all, disgraceful.
Perhaps I should have a look at this
Baptiste, be quiet.
Where on earth did you get this?
The photo which flaunts your shame, mademoiselle, was found on the floor of Monsieur Hume's bedroom. Do you admit to being a showgirl and not a governess?
I'm sorry I deceived you, Madame. It was wrong of me, but I had to live and I was desperate. I couldn't get work on the stage. I've been a good governess to the child. I've taught her a lot of English and looked after her, and you've never complained.
That is right.
But now, because of this stupid photo, you begin to think all sorts of horrible things.
No, I am sure my wife does not think
I
that.
do not want your opinion, Baptiste. And as for you, Miss Peters, I do not wish to discuss your motives. You have admitted deceit. That is enough. This house has no place for you.
All right, Madame. If that's how you feel, I'll leave today.
Baptiste, show her out.
As you wish. Mademoiselle. Yeah, I'm sorry about this, but I'm afraid my wife, she does allow things to upset her very easily. She's from Provence, you know.
Hello, is everything all right?
No, it's not all right. I'm having to leave because of you.
What?
The next time you steal photographs, don't go leaving them around your bedroom floor for any Tom, Dick or Madame to pick up. Thanks very much for getting me sacked.
But I only...
No, don't bother to say anything. Goodbye.
Wait a minute, Murray. You don't understand.
No, it's not good to run after her, Monsieur Hume. It is not wise to show a woman that you care for her so much. They take advantage of you later on, after you have married them. Ah, by the way, here's your photograph, which my wife found on the floor of your room this morning. But maybe you do not wish to keep it, no?
Monsieur Finchley, I owe you an apology. There is nothing in the newspapers about the kidnapping.
Well, I knew there wouldn't be.
And I've also been to Paris this morning just to make sure. I went to the Marivaux Hotel and saw Brewster with my own eyes. I've been very foolish. I ask your forgiveness.
I should think so too. But it's a bit much. After all, I kept telling you that you were wrong and you just wouldn't listen.
I am sorry. But I also ask you to regard what I have said to you in confidence. My work is still to be done.
It is the work of an amateur. If you're determined to become a kidnapper, then it is absolutely necessary you should master the elementary principles of your craft. Surely the first principle is not to kidnap the wrong person.
You are right. That was a rather basic mistake.
Yes, I'm afraid so. You see, you're not very professional, are you?
What?
Well, you're not, are you?
No.
No. And it's no good waiting in a taxi for the boy. There are many better ways of reaching him.
Oh, really? What is it?
Well, you could always start... Wait a minute. What am I thinking of? I don't think it's up to me to give you hints on kidnapping.
I suppose you are right. Pity. You would have made a good tutor after all. And now, monsieur, if you care to return to Paris, I will arrange for Jacques to take you by car immediately.
Good idea. And the sooner the better. Now, what about Robert?
I've sent Jacques to wake him.
He seems to be sleeping rather late this morning.
Master, the boy is gone. He's not in his room.
Gone? What do you mean, gone?
The window is open and he has made a rope of knotted sheets from the bed.
I did not think he could escape from the window, or I should have locked it. Why did I not think of those shits?
I'll tell you why. Because you're a pair of inefficient bunglers, falling for the oldest trick in the book. If anything happens to that boy, I shall see you get punished for it. Goodness knows how long the boy's been gone. He may have been out there wandering around all night. And all because of your stupidity. Well, don't just stand there. Do something.
No point. He could be miles away by now.
We must find him.
I am sure that he will be all right, monsieur.
If you are not going to look for him, I insist you ring the police.
We cannot do that. What can we say to the police? We are kidnappers and we have lost our hostage.
I don't care what you say. Robert's safety is what matters.
Jacques, monsieur is right.
But
I know that if the police are involved, we will be in trouble. But we must not let him suffer.
As he started to dial, Jérôme Giraud noticed shadows across the window, and he suddenly saw 3 rough, unshaven men striding across the terrace. They burst into the room.
Who are you?
The men took no notice of him and launched themselves into battle. One threw himself at Jérôme, bringing him and the telephone table down with a crash. The other sprang at Jacques, hurling him backwards to the floor, and the third lowered his head and charged at Mr. Finchley, who found himself overthrown and engaged in a strenuous tussle. Mr. Finchley joined forces with his erstwhile capturers against these mysterious attackers, but was soon overcome and then jerked to his feet by a victorious and jubilant foe.
Voila! I've often longed for a tussle with bandits, eh?
I'm not a bandit!
Robert! Voila! Ici!
Here I am.
Robert!
Anton, this is Monsieur Finchley. Let him go. He's my friend.
Oh, pardon, monsieur.
Robert, where have you been?
Early this morning I escaped from the house. It was easy. The oldest trick in the book.
You see, I told you.
I was going to fetch the police, but on my way I met these bargemen friends on the river.
Well, I'm very pleased to meet you. How do you do?
Now, let us throw them in the river!
No, you can't do that.
But I've promised my friends that as a reward they can throw the two bandits into the river.
Yes, that is so. You see, I was once thrown into the river myself by a thief who stole my watch. I want my revenge. My mind is made up.
Then you must simply unmake it, I'm afraid. It's just not a proper way to treat defeated opponents. No Englishman would do that. In any case, they've apologised for their behaviour.
But, monsieur...
I simply cannot allow it. Look, I'm very grateful to you and your friends, and so I'd like to thank you in a more traditional manner. Here, please take this money. It's all I have on me.
Thank you, monsieur. I suppose this will have to do, but it's not quite the same. Could I not just throw one of them in the river?
The bargemen dispersed peacefully, and in return for his freedom, Jérôme promised to pursue his cause more legitimately. Jacques drove Mr. Finchley and Robert back to Paris as arranged, and Robert was dropped off at the wharf where he lived with his guardian, Pepe. Mr. Finchley said goodbye to the boy for the third time and returned to his lodgings to pack in time for the afternoon's boat train.
Come in.
Oh, thank goodness you're here.
Oh, Robert, am I ever to be rid of you?
Oh, don't say that, monsieur.
What's the matter? You don't look very happy.
I'm not. It's difficult to be happy when you've been deserted.
Deserted? What are you talking about?
When I got back to my barge, there was no sign of Pepe. I went to the wharfkeeper, who told me that Pepe had left his job and gone away. He gave me a note that had been left for me. It was to say goodbye to me and bring this letter for you. Here.
Oh, dear, let me have a look at this. No. I send Robert to you because it is not right that a Frenchman should be the guardian of an English boy. Robert has told me that your friend Mr. Hamerton is very rich, and I know he is kind, as you are, monsieur. I go so that the boy is happy with you. It is useless to look for me. I am very sad, but it is the best for Robert. He is a good boy. Pepe.
Oh, I have no one. What am I to do?
Robert, please don't cry. Look, I'd really rather you didn't. I'm not terribly good at this sort of thing. Don't worry, I'll see you're all right. Look, I'll tell you what, I'll try and get hold of Mr. Hamerton. He'll know what to do. Now, would you like a handkerchief? Thank you for seeing me, Hamerton.
Well, I must say I was surprised to receive your phone call. I thought you were in England.
Ah, yes. Well, I got detained for another day on some other business. I was taken to Versailles.
How nice. So, Robert's been abandoned, has he? Where's the boy now?
At my lodgings. I told him to wait until I returned from seeing you. I don't quite know what to do. I must help him, but I've got to catch the boat train in a few hours. I simply can't spend any more time in Paris, but what am I to do with the boy?
Perhaps we should just inform the authorities.
Oh, no, I don't want to do that. As soon as they find out he doesn't have any parents or relatives, they'll put him in an orphanage. We wouldn't want that, would we?
No, we wouldn't. But what's the alternative?
I don't know. I thought you might know what to do. And Pepe did mention you in his letter.
Did he?
Yes. He said you were kind.
Did he? What else did he say?
He said that you were,
Rich?
Yes.
I see.
Well, maybe he thought you might take care of Robert for a while until something could be sorted out.
But that doesn't really solve the problem, does it?
Only temporarily.
No, that's no good. He needs a more permanent solution.
You're right, of course.
I know what I'll do. I'll adopt him.
You'll do what?
I'll adopt him. Yes, that's what I'll do. It's a chance for me to show I'm still of some use in the world, and I believe it was just that chance wily old Pepe was banking on.
I wondered about that, but I didn't like to mention it.
No, I've got enough money to look after him, and he's always talked about living on a farm, hasn't he? He can come and live on my farm in England that I'm going to buy. Solution simple. What do you think of that?
Well, I don't know. Are you sure?
Absolutely positive.
Well, then I think it's an excellent idea, and I'm sure Robert will think so too. Shall I bring him down here to the hotel?
No, he can't come with me just yet. I've got to go to Cannes for a week to clear up some business down there. I shan't want to take the boy. I was just wondering...
Yes?
could you take the boy back to England with you today? Oh, of course, I'm not asking you to look after him when you get there. You could make some suitable arrangements for him to lodge with a family, but perhaps you'd just see him settled nearby where you could keep an eye on him until I arrive.
There's no need for that. He could stay with me.
Ah!
But wait a minute. How can he come with me today? I'm going in a few hours, and he hasn't got a passport, and there's sure to be all sorts of formalities about his leaving the country.
Oh, you don't know France. With friends and money, you can get most things done in a hurry. Unfortunately, I have both. Look, you get him to the station in time for that train, and I'll have my valet there with all the permits you need.
Can I rely on that?
I give you my word.
Mr. Hamilton was as good as his word, and some hours later, Mr. Finchley and an excited Robert were halfway across the English Channel.
I can't believe that I'll soon be in England.
I'm sorry we didn't choose a better day. It looks as though we're not going to have an entirely smooth crossing.
I know, monsieur. I don't like this ship rolling so much. It was never like this on the Swan of Paris.
Yes, well, this isn't a barge.
I have a very strange feeling in my stomach. Do you think I should be seasick?
No. Seasickness is entirely a malady of the mind. Most people say to themselves, I'm going on a boat, I shall be sick. And they are sick, because they expect to be. But if you say to yourself, this sickness is all nonsense, and forget about it, then nothing happens. It's all psychological, you see.
I see.
I mean, look at me. I'm not an experienced sailor, yet I've never been sick in my life, merely because I always say firmly to myself, before I go on board, I shall not be sick. And do you know, I never am.
Well, thank you for that advice. I feel better already.
Good. Come on, let's go down to the restaurant for some tea and cakes.
Whilst they were eating, Mr. Finchley congratulated himself that he was going to experience some rough weather. His previous crossings had proved rather too mild, dull in fact, and he was looking forward to returning on deck to face the elements. Then a strange thing happened. Across the table, he caught sight of Robert lifting to his mouth a particularly jammy and creamy cake. The sight of this confection produced a most peculiar effect on Finchley. His face paled, his eyes watered slightly, his body tilted to the roll of the boat, a roll that started low down and went swooping upwards as though it would never stop. Then the movement would finish, and Mr. Finchley found himself leaning weakly back against his seat, attempting a normal expression so that Robert would not notice.
Monsieur, are you all right?
What's that?
Aren't you feeling well?
Yes, I'm perfectly all right.
You don't look it.
Don't I?
No, you look ill.
No, not ill. I'm not at all ill.
Your face is very pale.
Yes, well, it's the sea. It always affects my complexion in this way. It's very strange.
The sea is strange. Pepe would always say that she was uncertain, like a woman.
Really?
But I don't mind the sea. Thanks to you, I haven't been sick.
No, and I'm pleased my advice worked for you.
We shall soon be in England. Let's celebrate with another chocolate eclair.
Oh, dear. Robert, stay here. I shan't be long. I'm just going for a breath of fresh air.
Remember, monsieur, it is entirely a malady of the mind. Keep saying to yourself, I shall not be sick. I shall not be sick.
I shall not be sick. I shall not be sick.
By the time the lights of Folkestone Harbour showed up across the night, Finchley was feeling better. And by the time they reached Mr. Finchley's home in Hampstead, Robert was feeling tired.
You've had a long day, my lad. Bed's the place for you. In you go. Let me put the light on. There we are.
What a lovely house.
Yes, I like it. Hello? Hello? Anybody home? That's strange. She's not there. What can have happened to her? Robert, it looks as though we're all alone.
Never mind, monsieur. Pepe always said that it's better for a wife who can no longer love her husband to go away.
What?
I'm sure you'll be better off without her.
What on earth are you talking about, Robert?
About your wife, monsieur. It's very sad to find her gone. but you'll just have to marry another one.
You don't understand, Robert. I'm not married. It's not my wife who ran away, but my housekeeper, and actually I don't think she's run away. She's probably still looking after her sister, who was taken ill before I left for Paris.
Then we'll look after ourselves. I'm a good cook, and I'll find a wife for you. A good one. She'll be beautiful and cook like Pepe, and you'll be very happy with her.
It's very kind of you, and I know you mean well, but if I'm to have a wife, then I'll be the one to find her. Now look, it's extremely late and time for bed. I'll show you to your room, and you'd better have a pair of my pyjamas for tonight, and... oh, dear.
What's the matter?
Well, I've got to make up your bed. I think you'd better help me. It's not the sort of thing I usually do.
Later, in bed, Robert lay awake, thinking of Pepe, the barge, and his life in Paris, but repeating quietly to himself,
I'm going to sleep in England, in London. I'm going to sleep in England, in London. I'm going to sleep in England, in London. I'm going to sleep in England.
In episode 4 of Mr. Finchley Goes to Paris by Victor Canning, Richard Griffiths played the part of Mr. Finchley, Nicky Henson was Hamilton, Jacqueline Tong was Madame Mignard, Serena Evans was Marie Peters, James Cohen was Robert Gillespie, Piers Gibbon was Lawrence Hume, Simon Roberts was Jérôme Giraud, David Howarth was Jacques, and Albert Welling was Baptiste Mignard. The narrator was James Villiers. Mr. Finchley Goes to Paris was adapted for radio by Andy and Eric Merriman, and the producer was Gareth Edwards.